Standing start for this evening, front of the mat. We'll take the feet about shoulder distance apart and just let ourselves have a little rock out from the hips side to side. Roll the toes around a little as well. Start to settle the breath. Now, some people like to close their eyes, some people not. Kind of depends a little bit on what your view is. If you've got, like me, just a bare wall, doesn't really matter whether you close your eyes or not. Palms forwards. Just draw those shoulder blades back a little bit and then relax them again, see where they end up. Take a moment to press the feet down into the floor. But being careful not to press the legs back. You just want to push down, not moving the hips around at all. And noticing where the weight feels to be in your feet. Can you discern that you maybe lean into one foot a little more than the other? Is it in the front or the back or the sides of the feet? How does it feel? All the time you're doing that, try and slow your breath down at the same time. Slowly, so take the hands high, bring the palms together, stretch them up towards the sky. Take a little side bend out towards your left as you exhale. Come back into the center and take it out to the opposite side. Inhale back into the center again. As time as you exhale out, let yourself to stretch the hands up and out towards the side. So remember the word is up and out. Draw it back in on your inhale. Exhale over to the other side. Up and out. And back into the center. Now up and out again, but this time press down through your right foot. The muscles in the leg engage a little bit in the left. Come back into the center. Take it out to the final side. Press gently down. Come back into the center. Bring the hands in towards your heart. And zigzag your toes back together so they touch. Just leave a little ankle gap for yourselves as you drop into your knees over your toes. And sit back into the first chair. And allow the hands to lengthen out directly above the shoulders. So we're going to try and follow the line of the body if we can. Try and pull the shoulder blades back towards the ceiling on the back of the mat. Draw the belly in, keep the spine nice and long, flat. Squeeze the thighs gently together. Now bring the hands in towards our heart. Going to open the legs back up, hinge the body forwards, over the thighs and down to the floor. And just fold in nice and deep, taking your time. Bring hands right into the front of the mat. Step the legs back into a down dog shape. Bring ourselves slowly down onto the knees, all fours for cat-cow. I've taken the opportunity previously to move my block towards the front of the mat. So if you haven't got yours there, perhaps move that whilst we're taking these cat-cow stretches. Remember to just allow the eyes to follow where the heart points. So we're not pulling on the neck excessively. We'll come back into a neutral spine. Just tuck the toes of the right foot underneath and send the leg back. We'll bring the foot to about the height of the hip as we press into the shin on the left side. Allow your right knee to bend so toes go towards the sky. And then we're going to draw that leg through and see if we get the knee and the nose to touch. Ease our way back. Draw the belly in to a flat spine, but press the sole of the foot towards the sky a little bit. So you can feel that, just dig in a little more to that buttock cheek. And draw the knee through again. Little tap. Nice neutral spine. Little kick. Progressively upwards with the sole of the foot. Draw the knee in again. Little tap. Roll it out. Extend the leg out again. And bring the foot to the floor, bring the knee back in. Do the same with the opposite leg. Now notice that the arms stay active and pressing down and pushing away from the floor. Bend the knee again. Draw it through. Little knee nose tap. Neutral spine. Just a little lift into that cheek, nice and slow. Draw it through. And extend the leg out. Bring the foot down again. We'll take it into down dog. Just lifting the knees away from the ground and walking the legs out. Feet are about hip distance apart. I am indeed stretching the legs very gently. So moving a little bit through that lower spine, working into the hips, stretching the back of the legs out, getting a little bit of movement into the toes. I'm going to bring my body into a nice steady position and then just scissor the right leg to where I think the height of my hip is. And press out through the heel. I have the toes pointing down towards the floor. I'll take another breath and bring the leg down, just hinging at the hip. Allow yourself to take the left leg again to what you think is the height of your hip, and then press out. Keeping the hands very much glued to the floor. And that back leg is straight, but we're lifting on. Just feeling the weight in the foot a little more. And then we'll bring that foot down to the floor. We'll come forwards into plank, bring the knees to the ground. Let ourselves sit gently back. Child's pose. Bring the head to the ground to take a breath in. And then round the spine, press into the shins, draw the belly in, wave our way back up into a tabletop. We'll sit back again into child's pose. Look to the floor as you take the breath in. Use the exhale, press out, and draw ourselves into that wave. Easing back again. Breath in. On the spine, draw ourselves. Tuck the toes underneath. And we'll move back into down dog. We're going to do the same wave pattern, but we're going to do that from a down dog position. So we're going to bend the knees so the thighs are vertical, and then lift the spine up and down it through into that plank position, shoulders over the wrists, and then lift the hips up, tippy toes, roll the heels back. Soften the knees again. Wave it through and back up. Soften the knees. Wave it through again. So as to come back down onto the knees, onto the heels. I'll take a little breath from there. Just roll the shoulders around a couple of times. move in the opposite direction as well. Now, leaning forwards, just going to move the block out to the side. Spin the feet off to the side as well. Let the legs come in towards the front of the mat. Keeping the knees high, I'm going to move towards the front edge of the mat. Roll the spine down to the floor. Get nice and long in the spine. Draw the knees gently over the hips. Allow the legs to extend up towards the sky. Take the hands directly above the chest with that alternating legs and arms. So as you practice this, you want to draw your abdominal muscles down and keep the lower back connected to the ground. We lengthen out through the legs and the arms and then gently bring them back. Cross over to the opposite side. And we come back up again. We'll come back. Allow ourselves to bend the knees. I'm going to take the block and just put the block between the sides. So we're going to have a couple of right angles here, one between the back of the calves and the thighs, and then the front of the thighs and the torso. And keep that abdominal muscle drawn down. Take the arms out wide, in line with the chest. Just slowly let the legs roll over towards the right. We want to try and keep the knees and the feet from actually touching the floor. We also want to keep the shoulders on the ground. And as we lift, rather than pressing down in that right arm and shoulder, you're just going to use your abdominal muscles to roll slowly back. And let yourself roll over to the other side and control the acceleration of the legs going over to the side. And then again, on your exhale, negotiate lifting up with the best of intentions, just to rolling that from your abdominals and the torso, rather than bringing your shoulders in to stabilize and help and assist. Let's work our way gently across from side to side. Now, your breath might be different, so the amount of time it takes to lift and move around could mean that you're doing a left while I'm doing a right. But let's not worry about that. Let's focus on how it feels in our spines. Just rotating around on that spinal axis. Allow the legs to come back up. We're going to shift the block out, step behind the back of the head. Bring the feet to the floor just on the tippy toes, and then extend the right leg up as I turn the toes out to the side. I bring myself into a figure four. The left knee comes in, right hand through the center. Sorry, left hand through the center. Onto that right leg. And then we'll release. Stretch the legs up towards the sky. Take the arms out wide again. Take a little breath. Bend the knees and slowly bring the tippy toes down to the floor. Keeping the spine pulled in towards the ground. Lift the right leg. Turn the toes. Bring ourselves into the figure four. The left knee comes in. Right hand goes through the center. Take hold of the back of the thigh or front of the shin, whatever is available to you, keeping the right foot flexed towards the knee, drawing the abdominal muscles down and your lower back, therefore, into the floor. And we'll release out of that as well. Take both legs up to the sky this time. Slide your hands alongside your thighs, up towards your shins. Draw your chin in towards your chest, and then take your hands as high to your ankles as you can. And let the hands come all the way down to the floor behind you. As you roll your spine out, bend the knees, keep the spine flat to the floor, let the feet come to the ground. Draw your hands and your elbows in towards your body. Roll onto your right side. Allow yourself to spin yourself all the way back up onto all fours. We'll take a little breath from there. Have the feet about the same distance as that block is apart. We'll take the feet back and just allow ourselves to come into the squat. So you want the heels on there, unless you don't need them, and then you can take the block out. But we've got the feet parallel, and we've got the knees pointing in the same direction. So sometimes we have the feet and the legs pointed out, sometimes they're pointing forward. So even we're going for forwards, I'm just going to rest those arms on top of the knees. And rather than being completely still, I'm beginning to rock my body around. So imagine that you had a little bit of blue tack on your head and a pencil pointing up towards the ceiling. And for some particular bizarre reason, you decided you wanted to draw tiny little circles about the size of a polo on the ceiling. So you just rock around gently. And you'll notice that apart from changing the pressure in the ligaments in the ankles, you'd also get a little bit of changing in the stretch around the hips and those hamstrings and inner muscles inside the hip joint. So just very small. Really, anybody that was walking past might not even notice that you're doing that if you're moving very slowly, because the movement is small. Almost there. Okay, now we're going to let the fingertips come forwards and lift the hips towards the sky, head low into a forward bend, and we'll just gently take the feet off of the block and then move it out towards the side and push it a little towards the front of the mat again. Allow yourself to walk in to the fullness of your forward bend. And we'll bring hands onto the hips. Soften the knees and let ourselves lift them. We'll shake it out a little bit as we walk into the front of the mat. Land the feet about hip distance apart. I'm going to draw the chest up towards the sky. Hands are moving towards the back of the mat a little bit. And then I'm going to lift the hands up and wide. Bring the palms together. So it's like I'm coming into a back bend, but I'm doing it the reverse way around. And then bring the hands into the heart and exhale all the way down to the floor with that flat spine and soft knees. As you arrive, taking the right foot to the back of the mat into a big lunge, checking the front knees over your ankle and on the fingertips. Allow yourself to relax your shoulders, keep the belly drawn in a little bit, and see if you can keep the head in line with the rest of your body. We'll take one more breath here and then drop the back heel to the center line, ready for warrior two. Allow yourself to press that foot down. When it's engaged, bring the hands alongside your body to lift the torso a little. Take the right arm forwards, open up into your warrior two. We'll float the hands high, lengthen out towards the front of the mat, but we'll bring the hands onto the inside of this front foot. We'll spin the back heel towards the sky. The front foot, we're going to spin out 45 degrees. Allow yourself Drop the back knee down onto the floor and untuck the toes. Draw the left hand forwards to lift up. And allow the hand to go all the way to the back of the mat. Sink the hips a little more towards the ground. And they may go all the way down to the floor, but maybe they won't. I'll bring the hand back up. And as it does, we'll turn the toes and bring the hand either side of the front foot and step it back into the down dog. Lift the hips high and back. Draw ourselves forwards into the plank, where we take half plank, pushing forwards on the tippy toes, strong legs, and up dog. So roll the shoulders back. And then draw the hips up and roll or step over the feet to our down dog. We'll scissor the right leg to the sky as high as you can and come up onto the tippy toes of the left foot as you draw the knee in towards your chest and bring that right foot through for the lunge. Press out through the back heel, push off the toes into a forward bend. This will sink on your exhale a little deeper. Bring the hands onto the hips and we'll lift. We'll take the hands behind again as we lift the chest up into that reversed back bend and bring the hands high through the heart and down to the floor. Folding deep. Take a little breath. Send the left foot back into the lunge. Drop the back heel down. Strong placement. Bring the hands alongside your body. Use that left hand to lift up into your warrior two. Allow the hands to lift high as you rotate. Take the hands forwards again onto the inside of this front leg. Spin the back heel. Drop the back knee and untuck the toes. Spin on the front heel, let the foot go out 45 degrees so the knee can hang out to the side a little. Draw that right arm up. Allow yourself to take it high towards the back of the mat. And as you roll onto that leg a little bit, just drop the hips down towards the floor. Bring it back up. Spin the front foot towards the front of the mat. Step it back into our down dog. And forwards into the plank. Take the half plank and up dog. Scissor the left leg, tippy toe to the right. Draw the knee in towards the body. Exhale through to the front of the mat. Push off the back toes. Forward bend. Sink in a little deeper. Let's bring the hands to the hips and lift. Hands behind, a little lift up and out wide. Easy back bends. Hands into the heart. Down to the floor we go. Stepping back into down dog. And then bringing that forwards a little bit with the feet, just to get a little higher in the hips. We're going to take our famous knee to the chest, knee to the tricep, and then knee crossing over the body to the opposite elbow. So first knee comes in, right, we come forwards, tap the nose, take the leg back and scissor to the sky. Knee comes forwards, goes out to the tricep on the right, high as you can, and we scissor back, comes through the center, crosses over, touches the elbow, opposite side. Take the sky and the foot, and then bring that leg down to the ground. Lift the left leg into the sit. Draw the knee in towards the chest. Come through. Tap the knee and nose. Back it out to down dog and send the leg high and straight. Draw the knee in. Back of the tricep. All the way back. Scissor. Knee into chest. Elbow crossover. All the way back into the scissor. And bring the foot back down to the floor. Take a little breath as we ease the body in. And sit back down gently into child's pose. So take a breath. Let the hands come towards the body. Lift the knees gently away from the floor. Take the hips high as we roll gently back into a forward bend. Hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift. Find a focus point. Hands in towards the heart and load the weight into the left leg. Draw the right knee. Allow yourself to bring the knee as high as you can. And let the foot go to the floor. Take a little breath. Take the weight into the opposite leg. Lift the knee up gently. Take hold. Draw the shoulders back a little bit. Squeeze the knee in. Press the long leg back down to the floor. And rest that foot down. I'm going to shake it out a little bit. Come to about the middle of the mat. I'm actually going to move off, so I've got a little bit more of a stable base to work from. Load the weight again into this left leg. So I'm going to draw the right knee and bring the heel in towards the buttock. The knee goes down to the floor as I bring the heel back and find the ankle joint rather than the foot. Then squeeze the thighs back together again and tilt the pelvis bone so the pubic bone travels forwards a little bit, tailbone down to the floor. Allow the left hand to go up towards the sky, palm facing in. Now you're going to start to press your right leg back, so pushing the shin away. Try and keep the hips square to the mat. We'll lean forwards naturally. We don't want to take it too far forwards, not excessively. Dancer's pose. We'll bring the body back into a vertical position. Ease the foot to the floor, releasing the hand back down. Shake out the shoulders and the legs. Work into the ankles a little bit. I'm going to work on that right side. So hands in towards the heart. Allow the left knee to lift. Get as high as you can. Bring the heel in. Take the hand down to find the ankle bone. And my hands might be a little bit sweaty, so take your time to get a good connection. Bring the thighs together a little more as you take the right hand towards the sky. On the exhale, draw the belly in and start to press the shin of the lifted leg towards the back of the mat behind you. Again, try and keep the hips square. You'll know what I mean once you start to move out. There's a tendency to twist. Allow yourself to lean forwards a little bit just to offset the weight of your leg behind you. Now we'll ease our way back and hands down to the floor. Going to step back onto my mat. Shake out the legs and arms a little bit. Come into the front of the mat. I'm going to bend down just to the fingertips on the ground. Allow myself to move my block out in front. I'm going to have it on sort of on edge, so the thin edge, but not the highest level, next level down. So take a little breath from there. Allow myself to step back into my down dog. And come into a half moon pose. So again, a balanced pose. And take a little breath. Take the right leg to the sky, tippy toe the left. Draw the knee in, and bring it through into the lunge. And take the hands forwards a little bit. Push over the back toes and allow myself to lift. And I'm just going to bring the block underneath. Now, depending on whether you've got long legs, short arms, etc., you might want the block on the high level. I can take it in my body sort of the next level down. And I'm going to slowly turn that left hip up towards the sky. The pelvis rolls around a little bit. You want your hand more or less underneath your shoulder. Looking towards the floor, see if you can take your left hand away from the ground and gradually bring it onto that left hip. And once that happens, see if you can slowly turn the chest and the shoulders to the long side to marry up with the hips. And take your time. It's a small movement, but it does quite a lot of focus. And then see if you can take the left hand to the sky. Palms faces out. Eyes on the floor really do help the balance. We'll take one more breath. And then soften the front knee. Place the foot back into a lunge position. Bring the fingers to the floor. And so step back into our down dog. We'll take the left leg to the scissor, tippy toe, and then bring the foot through for the lunge. Turn hands forwards again. Move your block. Just lift yourself in to wobbly or rubbery warrior 3. And then allow yourself to slowly turn the hip out to the side. The toes turn out, keep the foot flexed and pressing out. Now, ideally, that leg runs down the center line. That's where your torso is going to be. So everything is nicely aligned. The hips are hanging out to the side or the legs veered off. It will compromise your balance. So try to sort that out, even if it means looking around a little bit. And then when you're ready, see if you can take your right hand to that right hip. And very gradually start to open up the chest to the right side. And then see if we can turn the hand up towards the sky as well. We'll soften the front knee. Bring the foot down into the lunge. Bring the hands back. Let ourselves step back into that down dog. Then we'll bring the knees to the floor. Let's go back into child's pose just for a second. Two more long breaths. We'll look towards the hands and take that child's pose into a side bend. Look towards the hands again, and we'll go over to the opposite side. We'll bring the hands back to the center. Walk the fingers gently in. Allow yourself to just lift the knees gently off the floor. Lift them high. Roll over the toes into that forward bend, the back of the mat. Allow yourself to take your feet as wide as the mat. And then pivot on the heels so the toes point outwards. Allow ourselves to squat down. Now, to avoid yourself catapulting forwards into the squat, you can actually take hold of the mat and just pull that forwards a little bit. That sounds strange, but if you pull your hands forwards, that actually presses you back a little bit, but allows your hips to open up and to sink down a little bit more. And that little bit of tension that you have in the mat you're holding actually holds you up. So it's a good way of getting into a nice deep squat, but without the reliance of the blocks. Release, just untangle the mat. Allow ourselves to lift the hips up, walk ourselves back into a little bit of a down dog shape. Just wriggling out the legs a little bit to open up the hips. And then we'll bring the knees down to the floor, pivot on the feet, take them out to the side, scoot around, have the feet towards the bottom as your knees come up. Allow yourself to slowly bring your spine down to the floor. Take a breath. Turn the palms down and bring the hands alongside your body and just roll the shoulders underneath a little bit. Get a nice long neck. Draw all your abdominal muscles down and your lower back into the floor. And up on the tippy toes, you're going to bring your knees eventually over your hips and lengthen your toes towards the sky, squeezing the thighs and just spreading the toes a little bit. You're going to let the legs come halfway down. So keeping your eyes open so you know when you've gone halfway, and then bringing the legs slowly back up. Now, we're doing our best to keep the legs straight. People that have got long hamstrings are going to find that a little bit easier to have the legs straighter. If you're a little bit tight in the hamstrings, the legs are going to bend a little more. But as long as you can keep your lower back pinned to the ground, you're going to be okay. Try not to accelerate the legs back too much. That does tend to lift the tailbone away from the floor, and then it starts to work into the rest of your spine and through your neck. It actually adds pressure into the body. It might seem like a solution, but it is very short term. That's for sure. Much better to do it slow and controlled. We'll come up for the last time. Allow ourselves to bring the feet down, tippy toe only to the ground. Draw the hands around the back of your head. Just lace them very lightly with those elbows out to the side. Now, chin to lift in towards your chest. Keeping the elbows wide, you lift your chest towards your thighs. Take the hands, then past the knees. Extend the legs out again. A little quick half bow. Take the legs high again. Draw them in towards the body. We'll wrap the arms around the shins. Roll onto our right side. Use the hands to press into the floor, and again, we spin the feet down towards the back of the mat. That all famous all fours position. And take a little breath from there, toes underneath, and allow ourselves to come into down dog. And just walk the feet slightly bigger steps than perhaps we normally do, in towards the front of the mat. Bring hands onto the hips, let ourselves lift. Come high as we breathe in. Hands into the heart. And exhale down to the floor. We'll step back with the right and the left into down dog. And come forwards into plank. Take a little breath into a side plank, just rolling onto the feet. So one foot is flat, one foot is side on. And then the top arm is going to extend out towards the front of the mat. Bring that back all the way to the hip and then down to the floor as you turn back into the plank. Roll it across to the opposite side. Take the hand high. Strong legs, hips lifted. Turn the palm towards the front of the mat and lengthen out. Inhale it back up. Hand towards the hips. Rotate. Bring yourself back. Down dog. And walk feet in again towards the front of the mat. Bring hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift. Inhale high. And through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Step it back into down dog. Left leg first. Right leg second. Come forwards into plank. Allow your right foot to come halfway down as you roll onto the side of your left. And take the right hand to the sky and then lift the hips up as you press down into that foot. Turn the palm forwards. Lengthen the arm out towards the front of the mat. Inhale the hand up towards the hip, down to the floor, step it back into the plank. Cross to the opposite side. Left leg comes forwards. Lift the hips high, get a couple of inches of extra lift. Left hand towards the sky. Gradually you'll feel those oblique muscles down the side of your torso working. Palm turns forwards on the top arm, lengthens out. Arm comes close to your ear. So try not to drop your head too much. Arm comes back up towards the hip, and then down to the floor, back into our down dog. Walk the feet in towards the front of the mat. Bring hands onto the hips. And let ourselves lift up. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Right leg, left leg into the down dog. Come in slowly to your plank. Feet over to the left. Bring that top foot on top. And then keeping the hips high, allow the top leg to lift to the height of your hip, keeping the foot flexed. Turn the palm on the top hand forwards and lengthen out. Bring the hand back towards the hip as you lower the leg. And bring yourself back into plank. And then we'll take it to the opposite side. Stack one foot on top of the other. Find a balance point. Lift the leg. Turn the palm forwards and lengthen out. Hand towards the front of the mat. It's trickier than it looks or sounds. Bring hand back up, down to the floor, down dog. Let's feet in towards the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Step it back, left and right, to the down dog. And take a little breath from there. Allow ourselves to scissor the right leg to the sky. Bend the knee, bring the heel in towards your bottom. You're going to roll on your left foot out to the side. Allow yourself to flip your down dog. Open your chest towards the sky. Bring yourself back. Lift that right leg high, roll it back into down dog. Allow yourself to come into a three-legged plank, then a half plank. Bring the foot to the floor, both bootlaces down for up dog. And roll it gently back into your down dog. And walk the feet slowly towards the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips on your left. Inhale high. And through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Right leg and left leg into our down dog. We'll scissor the left. Bend the knee, bring the heel in. Spin on the right foot. Roll it down. Open the chest, lift the hips. Back into that dog. Swivel the leg high into a three-legged plank. Half plank. Bring the foot down. Bootlaces for up dog. Rolling it back into down dog. Take a little breath. Whew. Get those feet in towards the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips. Ourselves lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. And make sure your feet are parallel, hip distance apart. Soften your knees over your toes. Take a breath. Load the weight into the right foot. Slide your left foot back into lunge. Now, if you need to bring your fingers to the floor, you can do. I wasn't meaning to do that, but it happened. The idea was to bring the hands forwards and allow them to lift up into a high crescent. You're going to draw the belly in and send the tailbone down. You're going to lower your back knee as close to the floor as you can, but without actually touching, and then hold and breathe. I'm going to try and keep the front knee over the ankle rather than coming forwards. Draw the shoulders and elbows back a little bit. So it is a strength move. And we'll bring the hands back down to the ground, into the lunge, and step it through. Into that forward bend, hands onto the hips. Ooh. And let ourselves lift. Hands come high and towards the heart. We'll soften the knees over the toes. Load the weight into the left leg. And slowly take the right foot back into the lunge. Someone managed not to land on the floor, so that was a bit better. Draw the body upright. Hands towards the sky. Lower the back knee. As we said before, as close as you dare. And then hold. And breathe. Hands come to the ground. This time we step back into down dog. Come forwards into plank. Lower ourselves to the floor. Untucking the toes. Left into Sphinx pose. Just bring the hands forwards. Forearms parallel. And lift the chest forwards and roll the shoulders back a little bit. Keeping the belly in. Now turn the palms towards the sky so the thumbs are out. And press what is the back of your forearm into the ground. You'll take a little breath. Keep the belly drawn in. Allow yourself to bend the knee of your left leg. And then see if you can lift the thigh away from the floor. Now bring it down slowly. Extend the leg out. Bend your right knee as you breathe in. Press. Get a little lift. So you're going to need to press into those forearms and the opposite thigh. Ease your way back down. Keep yourself in the Sphinx pose. Left knee comes up. Use the exhale to lift. Inhale to come down. Lengthen out. Cross over to the other side. Bring it in. Opposite side. Lengthen out. Last side. And bring your chin down to the ground. Elbows out to the side. Wiggle out the hips a little bit. I have the feet about hip distance apart. You can take another couple of breaths here. And then we'll let the hips settle. And bend both knees to bring the heels in towards the body, pressing the hips into the floor. We take the hands behind, find the ankle joints, chin on the ground. Now when you're ready, flex the feet so it's easier to hold on to the ankles. Press the hips and the thighs into the floor. And press the shins away, the thighs down. So that gives you a chance to squeeze your shoulder blades a little closer. And the chest naturally lifts as you press the shins away. And come into the fuller version of bow pose. Going to lift the thighs away from the floor and press the soles of the feet towards the sky. So we've all done a little bit of a warm up. Drawing the chest forwards. Hopefully we get an inch or so of the thighs away from the ground. It's going to feel like that anyway. Two more breaths. Knees come down. Ooh, chin to the floor. Feet to the ground. Allow yourself to roll onto your back. So you're going to keep your head front end of the mat usually. And draw your feet in towards your body as you take your arms out wide. Take a little breath and shimmy your hips over towards your right. And then allow yourself to lift your right leg up and cross it over the left as you gently bring the legs over towards the left side of the mat. Slowly bring the legs back on an exhale. And bring the spine back into line as we unravel the legs. And we'll shimmy the hips over to our left leg, left leg, I'll get there in a minute, over. And then take the legs over towards the right this time. Bring the legs slowly back. Realign and untangle legs. Shake everything out. And we'll prepare ourselves for Shavasana. So we're just going to stay the same end round. Slide the heels out towards the corner edges of the mat. The hands come out to the side a little bit. It's quite warm, so the more gap you have underneath the armpits, the more heat you can let out of your body. And just let the toes rest out to the side. With the eyes closed, a soft jaw. Every exhalation is an opportunity to sink a little deeper into the mat. Begin to slowly wriggle his fingers and toes. Breathe a little heavier, allow the wrists and ankles to begin to move. Join your nervous system with your breath in your body. Allow yourself to stretch out when you're ready in any direction that feels good. And slide the heels along the ground towards you. Let those legs gently come in towards your body for a final hug. Keep that hug soft and gentle. Just rock and stir, whatever feels good. We're going to roll onto our right side. Just keep the knees in towards the body. Take a breath. Use the hands to press into the floor as we exhale and lift ourselves gently back up to sitting. Comfortable position. Bring hands in towards the heart, long spine. Close the eyes, take a longer breath. And gently exhale, letting the chin drop. Finding your spine drawn towards the back of the mat. Allow yourself to bow simply to the floor, sealing your practice. As the breath comes back into your body, building your spine, let it lift. Let the head follow, the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me on the mat this evening. Hope to see you again soon.